My psycho neighbor tried to kill me. But that wasn't the end. I moved into this duplex 3 years ago. Quiet neighborhood. Cheap rent. A big oak tree in the front yard that turns fire orange in October. It seemed perfect. My neighbor, Tom, lived in the other unit. He was in his mid-40s, always polite, always smiling. A little too smiling, actually. The kind where his eyes never quite matched the rest of his face. At first, I didn't think much of it. I'd just gone through a messy breakup, so I wasn't exactly looking to socialize. Tom would wave when we crossed paths in the driveway. Sometimes he'd ask if I wanted leftovers from whatever he was cooking. Can't finish this lasagna alone. But I always politely declined. Still, something about him felt off. I caught him staring at my windows a few times from his side of the yard. Not just glancing, staring. Once, I looked up from washing dishes and saw him standing on his porch, arms folded, just watching my kitchen for a full minute. When I waved, he didn't wave back. He just turned and walked inside. That was the first time I locked all my doors in daylight. Things got weirder after that. One morning, I found my mailbox open, even though I always close it. The next week, my car door was ajar. No signs of damage, nothing missing, just open. Then my cat, Bowie, went missing for 3 days. He came back smelling like bleach and too scared to leave under the couch. I had a gut feeling, that primal, stomach-sick certainty, that it was Tom. I bought a security camera for my front porch. 2 nights later, the footage showed a figure standing just out of frame for 4 hours. Motionless. Waiting. I took it to the police. They shrugged. Could be anyone, they said. No direct evidence. No crime. Just weird behavior. So I did what most people do when authority fails. I posted online. I asked neighbors, subtly, if anyone else had weird interactions with Tom. That's when it started to unravel. One woman messaged me privately. Said her daughter used to live next door to Tom 10 years ago and left in a hurry after waking up to find her dog dead on the porch. Another guy claimed Tom had a habit of helping people, mowing lawns, offering to fix things, then flipping out when they said no. He once keyed someone's car for not returning a borrowed ladder. Still, there was no hard proof. Nothing to act on. Until one night, 2 months ago, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. Not from a sound, from silence. That eerie stillness when the world is too quiet. Something told me to check the backyard. When I peeked through the blinds, I saw my shed door wide open, and Tom was inside. I called the cops shaking. They arrived in 10 minutes. Tom was gone by then, of course, but they found something. Inside the shed, buried beneath a tarp, were photos. Dozens of photos. Of me. Sleeping. Eating. Reading. In the shower. Some were taken from a distance, long lens stuff. But others, they were from inside my house. They also found a little bag. Inside, strands of my hair, some receipts for my trash, and, I kid you not, one of Bowie's teeth. This time, the cops couldn't shrug it off. Tom was arrested 2 days later, but not at his home. He was found in a hotel 2 towns over, using a fake name. He had duct tape, knives, and a printed floor plan of my house in his car. I'm still shaking writing this. I've moved since then. Changed jobs. New phone number. Bowie is okay now, a little jumpy, but alive. I still don't know what Tom's plan was. I don't want to know. But every time I see a too wide smile, I remember. Update. I thought this nightmare ended when I moved. New town. New name on the mailbox. Different job, different everything. I paid extra to keep my information private. No forwarding address. No social media. Not even a credit card in my real name. I wanted to believe I was safe. Then, last Thursday, I came home from work and found something on my doorstep. A single item, a photo, of me, taken that morning, leaving my apartment. It was printed on glossy paper, neatly trimmed. Nothing else on it. No note. No smudge. Just me, caught mid-step, coffee in hand, looking over my shoulder. I told myself it was a coincidence. I needed it to be. Then I checked my back door. Unlocked. I always lock it. Always. Inside, nothing was missing. Nothing was moved. But there was a smell. Bleach. I called the police immediately. Same story as before. They took it seriously this time, given the history, but without a break-in or physical evidence, they couldn't do much. They patrolled the area and left. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I checked my car. A sticky note on the dash. We're not done. No fingerprints. Of course, I went to the police again, and this time, I asked the question I'd been avoiding. Where is Tom? Turns out, He was released on bail. Awaiting trial. No GPS monitor. No restrictions beyond a restraining order he clearly doesn't care about. I don't know how he found me. Maybe he followed me. Maybe he bribed someone. Maybe he never stopped tracking me from the start. Maybe all my running was just part of his game. I filed for an emergency protective order. I hired private security. I even asked a friend from my old job, someone with cybersecurity experience, to help lock down every trace of me online. But 2 nights ago, it escalated. My neighbor, an older woman who lives across the hall, knocked on my door looking worried. She asked if I'd sent someone to check my plumbing. When I said no, she told me a man had come by that morning. Said he was helping me out, had a toolbox and everything. Claimed I was at work and had given him permission to enter through the back. She didn't let him in, said she got a bad vibe. I showed her a picture of Tom from the court record. She went pale. "It's him," she whispered. "That was the man." That's when I realized. He doesn't just want to scare me. He wants to be near me. He wants me to know he can still get inside. That even with the world watching, he's in control. I've packed a go bag. I'm not sleeping in my apartment again. I've already called a lawyer to push for a full protection detail through the court system. I'm documenting everything. But I can't lie. I'm scared. Not jump at shadows scared. Cornered animal scared. I'll keep you posted. If there's one thing Tom didn't count on, it's that I'm done being passive. I've survived him once. He doesn't get a second chance. Update. I wish I had better news. After months of fear, anxiety, and what felt like preparing for war, the trial finally happened. Tom was charged with multiple counts of stalking, trespassing, and harassment. They had my testimony. The photos. The shed. The bag with my cat's tooth. The creepy motel arrest with duct tape and a floor plan. It felt airtight. But here's the thing no one tells you about the justice system. It's not built to stop people like Tom. Not really. Tom's lawyer painted me as unstable. Said I was spiraling after a breakup. That I misinterpreted acts of kindness and constructed a narrative of fear. He suggested the bag in the shed was planted. That the photos were taken from public property. That the bleach smell could have been from my own cleaning. Even the note, "We're not done," was brushed off as a prank or misunderstanding. And because Tom never physically hurt me, never technically broke into my house, no forced entry, no prints, they said it was disturbing but not criminal beyond reasonable doubt. The jury deliberated for 5 hours. Not guilty. When the verdict was read, Tom turned around slowly in his seat and smiled directly at me. That same too-wide smile I saw from my kitchen window 3 years ago. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to run. Instead, I just sat there, frozen, as the judge dismissed the case. They let him go. I have a restraining order. Again, but we all know what that's worth. My lawyer is filing a civil suit now. It's our last option to keep him monitored, at least. But there's no jail time. No psychiatric evaluation. He's free. He could be outside my apartment again tonight. And all I could do is call the same cops who already failed me twice. I'm not asking for advice anymore. I've gotten enough. Move away, change your name, carry mace, buy a gun, hire security. I've done everything right. And it still didn't matter. Tom's still out there. And he's still smiling. I'll update again when I can. Assuming I'm still around to write it. Update. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to write. I almost didn't. But if I disappear without posting this, I want someone out there to know the truth. What really happened? Because he tried. He actually tried. Tom didn't wait long after the trial. Less than a week. I had just gotten home from staying with a friend. I was trying to reclaim some sense of normalcy. I didn't notice anything weird at first. The apartment looked untouched. Doors locked. Alarms on. What I didn't realize, and this still makes me sick, was that he was already inside. He had been hiding in the crawl space under my kitchen floor. I found that out later. I remember walking into the kitchen to make tea. It was around 9 p.m. I set my phone on the counter, turned on the stove, and that's when I felt it. A hand over my mouth. Something cold and sharp against my side. I fought. Harder than I knew I could. I bit down on his hand, elbowed backwards, kicked. We crashed into the table. He hit me, I think, with the handle of a knife. My vision blurred, ears rang. I remember hearing him whisper, "You weren't supposed to make it this far." Somehow I got away. I sprinted to the door, but he tackled me halfway down the hall. We were struggling when the front door burst open. It was my neighbor, the one who saw him snooping around weeks ago. She'd been watching from across the hall. Said something felt wrong, when she saw my lights flickering through the window. She didn't even knock. She just ran in screaming. It gave me just enough time to break free and grab a lamp from the table. I smashed it over his head. He went down hard, unconscious, bleeding, breathing. The police came within minutes. Guns drawn. He was arrested on the spot, again. But this time, there's no loophole. No reasonable doubt. They found duct tape, rope, gloves, and a tarp hidden in the crawl space. They found photos of me, again, in his backpack. They found an unlabeled bottle of what the hospital later confirmed was chloroform. I spent 2 nights in the ER. Concussion, cracked rib, minor nerve damage in my arm. Could have been worse. Could have been much worse. He's in custody now. No bail this time. Attempted murder. Breaking and entering. Violating a restraining order. Stalking. Possession of a controlled substance. They're throwing the book at him. Finally. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy. Trauma specialists. I've got a legal team, a protection detail, and, for the first time, real hope that this is actually over. He tried to end me. He failed. But I still wake up at 3 a.m. to check the locks. Because even now, deep down, a part of me is still waiting to see him standing at the foot of my bed, smiling. Final update. This is it. After almost 4 years of fear, paranoia, injuries, therapy, and the constant threat of a man who wouldn't stop, it's finally over. No cliffhanger. No stay tuned. Just one long-awaited, solid ending. Tom was convicted on all counts. Attempted murder, aggravated stalking, unlawful confinement, breaking and entering, possession of a controlled substance with intent to harm. The trial was different this time. This time, I wasn't alone. My neighbor, the woman who ran in screaming and possibly saved my life, testified. So did 2 former co-workers from my old apartment complex, who remembered how I used to check under my car every night. So did a guy who worked at the hardware store where Tom bought the tarp and rope, who said Tom made him feel like he was shopping for a kill kit. The prosecution brought everything. They had expert witnesses, forensic analysts, even digital traces showing Tom had been spoofing IPs to monitor me through hacked public cameras near my building. The defense tried to play the mental health card, claimed he was unstable, not malicious. But the jury saw through it, because we had facts, evidence, patterns, pain. The judge didn't mince words at sentencing. You orchestrated a campaign of fear with surgical precision. You escalated from obsession to violence without remorse. You are not just dangerous, you are predatory. Tom was sentenced to life in prison, with no chance of parole for at least 30 years. And when the sentence was read, he finally dropped the smirk. He looked like what he truly was, cornered, powerless, finished. After the trial, the lead prosecutor told me, "We don't always get to make things right. But we did this time. You made sure we did." I cried in a courthouse bathroom for 45 minutes. Not because I was sad, because the weight finally started to lift. Because I didn't have to look over my shoulder anymore. Because I won. Since then, I've moved again for the last time. This time not out of fear, but by choice. I live near the water now. I adopted a dog. A big, loud shepherd mix who barks at shadows but sleeps curled up against my bed. I volunteer with a victim advocacy group, helping people who feel like I used to, invisible, dismissed, hopeless. I got a tattoo a few weeks ago, just a small one, on my wrist. It says, "Not done," because I'm not. I survived Tom. Now I get to live. Final update. It's been a year since the trial ended. A year since Tom was locked away. A year since I stopped waking up in terror and started waking up to sunlight and birds and the smell of actual coffee, not adrenaline. For the first time in nearly half a decade, my life is quiet. And I can't believe how loud peace can be. I've spent this last year working on myself in ways I never had the space to before. Real therapy, not just trauma response, but growth. Yoga, meditation, journaling, the full cliche, and I say that with love. Because those things, they helped. They made me realize how much I was still carrying in my body, even after Tom was gone. But healing isn't just about therapy. It's laughing without guilt. It's sleeping through the night and waking up surprised you didn't check the locks. It's walking into your own apartment and not immediately scanning every room like it's a crime scene. It's reclaiming your life. I got a dog, like I mentioned. His name is Juno now, not just the shepherd mix. He's loud, loyal, and sleeps like a rock. We walk the same trail by the bay every morning. I take my coffee to go and let him bark at squirrels like they're enemies of the state. I reconnected with my sister. We were distant during the worst of it. She didn't understand why I seemed so on edge all the time. She's since admitted she was in denial, and honestly, I was too. But we've rebuilt slowly, on trust. She visits sometimes. Juno adores her. I also met someone. That's a sentence I didn't think I'd ever write. It's not a dramatic love story, thank God. It's safe. Easy. He brings snacks to movie night and makes dumb jokes when I get anxious. And he listens. Really listens. He knows about Tom. He doesn't ask for details. But he's the first person I've let hold me while I cried, without apologizing for crying. I'm not saying I'm healed. I don't know if I'll ever be 100% again. But maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not about being who you were before something broke you. It's about becoming someone new who knows how to build better. I don't look out the window every night anymore. I planted herbs on the windowsill instead. To anyone reading this who's in their own version of hell, whether it's a stalker, an abuser, a trauma, or just the weight of being scared all the time, let this be your proof. It does get better. You might not know how, or when, or who will help you get there, but you will. And when you do, you'll plant basil in the window and laugh at your dog chasing dragonflies and cry at sunsets because you're still here. I'm still here. And I'm healing. With love. Up.